Good morning, everybody. It is 2:18 in the morning. My life is peacefully in shambles. I am coming off of drinking like 6 beers today because of dysphoria fucking sucks. But I told you guys that I would make a tier list for the Bruins performance, for each individual Bruins performance this season. At least so far, considering we're 49 games in. I think we have a decent. I think we're at a point where we can safely say our opinions on our boys in black and gold. So, this is what we're doing while I cannot sleep. So, what have we here? Well, we have a tier list. A tier list for each player that has played at least one game today. I will be cross-referencing their performance with their stats on ESPN here. But here's basically what you need to know about each individual ranking. First of all, persona non grata, we are not going to be discussing Milan Lucic. He is, until not only has his court date not been decided yet, as to not only has there not been any decision as to whether or not he's guilty concerning the domestic abuse that he enraptured himself with in November, but also he only played 4 games. His sample size is not enough. We are going to add a row below OD here for not applicable, and that is pretty much just going to apply to, where are you? This guy right here, Georgi Merkulov. I am rooting for him. I'm rooting for him. I remember my hottest take at the beginning of this season was that he was going to score 30 points in his rookie season. I thought that he was going to decently impress. 4 games so far, not enough of a sample size enough to judge. So, anyway, a little bit of background about what these mean. D is going to be you are actually, we are also going to add a row below for this one is going to be this color. Sorry, I probably should have done this earlier. But yeah, F is awful play. Get this guy off my team. D is you. I've seen you do better. I want to see more from this. C has been you've had an alright season so far. B, you've decently exceeded my expectations a little bit, but I think we both know that there's still more up in the tank. A, great season all things considered. While I know you definitely can do better, I am absolutely going to take this version of you any day of the week. And S tier, you're on your way to greatness in this one. So, with all that said, let's get into it. And first, one last thing, I will be doing these by each individual position. I'll be doing this by different groups. So, forward groups first, then defensemen, then goalies. Although goalies is going to last 2 seconds because where are you troublemakers? Swayman in S tier, Ollie B tier. Ollie, I'm happy with. Again, we know that there's a little bit more that Ollie can do from all things considered. But he's still having an all right season. 913 save percentage is still like top 5 in the league, and Swayman is amazing job. So we're gonna start off the forwards with Johnny Beecher. Johnny Beecher, I think honestly, given his 39 games so far, I would put him in C tier. For right here. He hasn't really put in too much of the work. Only 7 points in 39 games. I would want him to be a little bit better. Although nothing was going to make him score. They put him on a scoring line in Michigan, and he couldn't really score there. They put him on a scoring line in Providence. He couldn't really score there. I don't think they're going to put him on a scoring line here. I've made jokes about. I love making jokes about Beecher 1C, but I'll be realistic. But Beecher's main aid to this team has been in his defensive play and his face-off percentage. I don't understand why we dropped him down, because his face-off, because he's fantastic at the dot. I mean, ESPN isn't really going to give me face-off percentage right here. Beecher, best of everybody at the dot. I know Coyle is still. I know Coyle and Zacha have taken more, but Beecher is still fantastic. I don't, and I've been saying, you want to win games. It starts in the trenches, and those trenches are, and there are 4 of those trenches on either side. There are 2 of those trenches on either side of the ice. Yes. And yeah, Beecher, Beecher has been doing all right, but again, I think that we can see him elevate his game a little bit more. I know Andrew from the Short Shift from the Short Shift podcast has said that the next time Beecher handles a pass correctly will be his first, and we've seen that several times this season. But I still think that Beecher, Johnny Beecher, all things considered, solid C tier. Next up, Jesper Boqvist. Boqvist. We're gonna put him in C tier as well. He had a little bit of a rough start to the season. Actually, you know what? I think we're actually gonna put him in B tier. He did have a rough start. He did very much struggle to make the roster on more than just a few occasions. It's pretty well exemplified by the fact that he's only played 14 games this season. But in the 14 games that he's played, I'm not disappointed. I think he's shown himself to be able to rally the puck around. Again, he's not someone who's gonna get you like he's not gonna be someone who cracks 10 goals by the end of the season. He's gonna be. I don't even know if he's really gonna be too helpful on the top line for much longer. But for right now, he's been doing all right. He's been doing all right at the for what he's been doing all right on the top line with Zacha and Pastrnak, and that's pretty much all we need him to do right now. Next up, Patrick Brown, F tier. The easiest F tier of this entire tier list is Patrick Brown skates around his pants are full of brown. He is not great. He's not great. He sucks at pretty much everything. He can't get back on defense. He can't transition into offense. He can't cycle the puck. He can't corral the puck. He is terrible, and I don't understand why we kept playing him. Next up, Trent Frederic. might be a little bit ambitious. But if I'm making this tier, but I made the rules of this tier list that are it's basically how much have you exceeded my expectations? S tier, this guy. He's almost surpassed his career high for points just in the first 49 games this season. And he's played all 49, which is amazing. And in just averaging 13 minutes 45 seconds a night, which is which is around middle 6 minutes. He's been able to hit almost 30 points, which is his career high from, I think, last year was 33. Amazing. He has been able to, and it's not only showing up on his stat sheet, but others. Remember, you know how Marchand the past few games has been kind of on a heater, and that has been because Trent Frederic has been the generator of this entire offense. And he carries so much momentum on his stick, and I love him. The biggest question at this point, is Cam, how long are you going to stall for signing this guy? I really do not want to get into bidding wars over this guy in 2025. I sincerely hope that you sign him to an extension either during this offseason or sometime during next year. Please, I do not want to get into a bidding war over this guy. He's going to be amazing. Next up, someone walk into Best Buy and get us the Geek Squad. Morgan Geekie, I'm going to put him in B tier. B tier for Geekie. 43 games played, 8 goals, 15 assists, 23 points. It's in about 15 minutes, 15 and a half a game. Decent guy in the middle six, and for what it's worth, his time on the second line, at times, he's been all right. I think honestly, his playmaking ability has been his playmaking ability and his ability to get himself into the scuffle a little bit. It needs to be there a little bit more. I would like to see him throw the weight around a little bit. But for just a rental guy that we picked up off the scrap heap of Seattle, well, I think he's been doing all right. I don't think he's. I think again, I would like to see him do a little bit more, but for right now, I'm all right with him. Next up, Danton Heinen. Again, we're going off of expectations, and for that reason, he's going in S tier. In 41 games this season, he's had 9 goals, 9 assists for 18 points, and that much for a guy that we signed at League Min. Well, the guy we signed at League Min on a professional tryout. Well, I thought that bring him back for a second stint was just going to be a vanity project for the 100th season. I thought it was just going to be, look at us, we're getting the gang back together. I almost thought we were going to try and make a move for Noah Chari as well. But man, he has been incredible. He's been we go fifth, although he's only taken less than 20 freaking face-offs, so not really that excited about that, but 18 points for 18 points in just the first half of the season for a guy who we also picked up off the scrap heap, and including his first ever hat trick, and against Montreal no less. Amazing play from Heinen, and he's got great chem in the middle six. That's the main thing about the Bruins. A lot of our guys can be shuffled around in various spots in the top 9, and they'd be perfectly fine. They'd be amazing. And that's basically what we got with Heinen. Now, next up, JDB, Jake DeBrusk, A tier for DeBrusk. I think DeBrusk has had a bit of a rocky season. 6 games in December with 0 points. But I think I was talking about this a while ago. That like the emphasis on the fact that sports betting and fantasy sports and all that shit have de-emphasized literally anything that doesn't result in a puck crossing the plane, has sort of blinded us to the fact that that DeBrusk has been one of our best defensive forwards, and not just one of our best defensive forwards, but he has also been really great at also being a generator of momentum. And you know what? It's starting to show through again. And DeBrusk, 12 goals, 13 assists, 25 points. Yes, it's a little bit less than what we'd want, but he's been picking up the pace, and I'm happy with his production. And granted, I don't think that that 13. I don't think that 4.5. You know what? Actually, I might drop him down to B tier, because yes, he's been great. He's been great in the intangibles, but I don't. But you still need some of the tangibles to be able to actually, be an effective player. Which isn't to say that JDB isn't effective. He's clearly effective. Otherwise, we wouldn't have given him a $4 million contracts. But that's beside the point. Next up, we have James Van Riemsdyk, who's going to be our second C tier. JVR had a great start to the season, with like 5 goals in the first few, in the first like 2 weeks, and it all came down to the fact that JVR has the best net front presence of anybody on this team. Let's go back to his stats real quick. 8 goals, 23 assists, 31 points. All things considered, that is pretty much what I expected us to get from JVR. I just didn't expect it to be like this. I thought a lot of it was going to be just a little bit of puck. I thought a lot of his goals were just going to be some puck luck. You can clearly see how well 6 beers and 2:30 in the morning is treating me right now with how I'm speaking. But yeah, I thought that JVR wasn't going to be amazing. I thought he would be like a decent depth guy for the bottom 6. But for what we got from him, gotten from him, I'm pretty happy. I do know that this is not the JVR that we would have gotten like 5 years ago or so. It's hard to believe. I'm not gonna lie. It's sort of like a jump scare to remember that this guy was at one point a Toronto Maple Leaf. But yeah, that is basically JVR. I know that there's more to him, but but for what we've gotten, I'm not disappointed. Lauko. I love this guy. I love him. He's going in D tier. He has. There have been plenty of games this season where he's just not been on. He's just been Do not play this kid. And I know. He's our terminally online in Grape and J.R.R. Tolkien and addicted Czech boy. And I am so happy that we've all just decided that Don Cherry is so much of a tool that he's no longer worthy of the nickname Grape, so he gave it to this Czech so he gave it to this Czech cornball. Oh, and I say that with every bit of love in my heart for Lauko. But still, I think that Lauko, there have been moments where he's on, there have been moments where he's off, and there have been a lot more moments where he's off than on this season. And just not entirely knowing the situation, not entirely making the best decisions. I would like to see him play and honestly, sometimes the benchings that he's gotten have been pretty worthy. Like you're seeing it here. He's played 36 games and has and other than Steen, he's gotten the second least amount of ice time in these of anybody over 30 games that isn't named Steen. And I think that's pretty indicative of his ability. I think that's pretty indicative of how he's played this season. And I hate to say that, but it's kind of the truth. Next up, my captain, Brad Marchand, you are an A tier. Likewise with Frederic, he has been a generator of the offense. Like there have been many games this season. There have been a few games this season where I've said like, okay, everybody in this game sucked except for Brad Marchand, and I think that and I think so far with how he's been leading the team, it's been all right, but I don't necessarily know if he has. I mean, I feel like there is that overarching command of respect for him, but part of me thinks that there needs to be someone else in the room who can command the amount of respect that he has. Remember last year and 2 years ago. Oh, I feel like part of our success came down to Nick Foligno being a big voice in the locker room. We all remember that speech that he gave in the locker room and during the Winter Classic last year. And what happened? And this guy ended up scoring two goals on a broken fibula after that. But and I think that the way that Brad has been commanding this team, it's been great. I just don't know if he's been. I just think that he needs to be able to do a little bit more with it. And if not, there needs to be someone else who can step up for him. His on-ice production has been really damn good. 24 goals, 23 assists, 47 points, and we all know that he loves to get in the box. So 51 PIM is pretty. It's pretty. It's kind of what we expect from him at this point. So, next up, Pastrnak. A tier as well. I think Pastrnak has been really good. I mean, shit. 33 goals, 39 assists, 72 points in 49 games. That's insane. I don't think that he's cracking 60 again this season. I think that and there, like with Lauko, there have been times where he's been on. There's been times where he's been off. The thing is with Pastrnak, there's been a lot more times when he's on than when he's off. He's played really, really good. The problem is that he's still just not really. The problems that I have with him have been the problems that I've had with him for the past several years. There's very little defensive aspect of his game, and cannot handle the puck for shit. And we saw that a few times. I remember in that Winnipeg game, basically just giving the puck away. Thankfully, it didn't really lead to anything serious, but it was still just frustrating. I want to see Pastrnak handle the puck correctly a little bit more. If he does that, he's going to be perpetual S tier. Next up, new kid on the block, Matt Poitras. All things considered, I'm putting him in C tier. He, like JVR, he jumped out to a pretty hot start. And I think 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points in 33 games is about what we'd expect from him. I don't think many people were pounding the pavement for this kid to be a point per game scorer. I think that half a point per game is exactly what I'd expect from Poitras. The thing is Monty has been incredibly aggressive with if you're not effective in the first 2 periods, you are done for the night essentially. And I think that's gotten to Poitras enough to where it's sort of eroded his confidence a little bit. I think that the Poitras that we've gotten in recently is definitely not the Poitras that we had at the start of the season. And I want to see him fight back a little bit on that. I want him to know that he can do this shit, because everybody knows he can do this. He's in the NHL for a reason, and I kind of expected, would kind of expect him to have gotten a little bit more of that confidence back after the World Juniors, but I just don't see it right now. I want to see him. I want to see it more. I just realized that I forgot someone incredibly important. Charlie Coyle, you're going in A tier. Charlie Coyle, my guy. Easily the best face-off percentage of anybody currently taking face-offs for the Bruins right now. 18 goals, 24 assists, 42 points in 49 games. We're actually putting them up to S tier. He's been insane. Let's just in his career stats. He's not only has he set his personal record for goals that was in this as a Bruin. But he's closing in on his on setting his personal record for goals in a season, and he's poised to completely eviscerate his record for points in a season. And I think Coyle, insane, and I am so happy for him. Rachel, we Weymouthing today. We're Weymouthing. Don't forget, everybody, to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about Weymouthing, check in the description below for the link to my friend's podcast, Weymouthers. All right, rounding up the crew. So, for forwards, Steen, D tier. I am pretty unimpressed with anything that he's been doing. Let's go back to here. Oskar Steen, 30 games played, 1 goal, 0 assists, 1 point. Means 902. I think we're actually gonna drop him down to F tier. I think that he's. I want him to do well. I really want him to do well. He's just not. He hasn't taken anything. And I know, as a fourth line guy, I don't really expect him to be a massive goal scorer. I expect him to do something. When you're playing less than 10 minutes a game, something's wrong. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with the way that you're playing. Usually. I mean, sometimes you might have a shit head coach like, I don't know, like Mike Babcock or John Tortorella. Actually, Tortorella, recently I've been kind of happy with him and with how he's been able to, with how he's handled the locker room, and him absolutely sticking up for Kevin Hayes. I'm happy for him doing that. But usually when you're playing 9 minutes a night, something's wrong. Something's wrong, and Steen has not really shown up in any way, shape, or form that I would expect him to do. So that is why he is an F tier. And rounding us out, Zacha. I hate to see it. I hate to do this. I really, really hate to do this. Actually, I'm going to put him in C tier. I'm not going to put him in D tier because I think, honestly, it hasn't been a matter of him not putting in the effort. It's been a matter of just it's not going well. It's just not been going well for him. I think that he's been he's definitely made room for himself in the top 6. And he's certainly been getting more. He's been getting better as we've been going down. 10 goals, 20 assists, 30 points in 45 games with almost with 18 minutes a night. That's pretty good. I just feel like he's been a little bit more invisible this year, and I want to see him be not that. I want to hear Zacha's his name. I think it was either Andrew or Ian on the short shift. It might have even been Thomas. I forget. I think it might have been Ian. I think Ian from the short shift said like forwards play their. You know a forward is good when you're hearing their name. You know a defenseman is good when you're not hearing their name. And that's basically been my thing with Zacha. Zacha, I love hearing his name. I'm just not hearing his name this season. But with that, we're gonna re-rack the board and come back for defensemen. So, defensemen, Charlie, Brandon Carlo, A tier. Carlo's been an A tier. I think 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points. It's whatever. He's not an offensive defenseman. I think that he's been his defensive presence has been felt so much this season, and when he's been off the ice, I remember he was hurt for a couple games with a concussion. Which, by the way, 5 fucking concussions from this dude. Brandon, take care of yourself after this. After your playing days are over, I really, really hope that you keep your head on your shoulders, because this is just getting scary at this point. 5 fucking concussions. But with Carlo, his defensive play this season has been amazing. I think he's been without a doubt the best defensive piece this season for us. And I think that, and I really want to see him and I really hope that he is doing okay. Let's actually see his playing time. 20 minutes a night. 20 minutes is pretty damn good. 20 minutes is pretty damn good for second pair of defensemen. Now, Forbort. F tier. Yep. Another year of Forbort in F tier. Forbort. I like him as a person, but my God, he is not good. He's not good. Darla, I love you. Your daddy's not real. Your daddy's not the greatest right now. Oh, everybody keeps talking about, and there's been no greater correlation does not equal causation than Brandon Carlo's shorthanded time on ice. Not Brandon Carlo. Derek Forbort's shorthanded time on ice. Everybody keeps talking about he's such a good penalty killing defenseman, and yeah, and so are so many other players on this team. Use them. This defense is good. You do not need it. You do not really need Derek Forbort as a shorthanded defenseman. And he is physical, but he's slow. He can't really crowd the puck. He can't pinch properly very well. And I'm getting tired of him. Next up, Matt Grzelcyk, D tier. D tier Grzelcyk. Grzelcyk has been I was ragging on him hard for a while. I was really ragging on him. But he's rebounded well from that. The problem is that it has been this up and down on play from him all season, and that kind of going up and down makes you seasick, and I'm getting seasick of Matt Grzelcyk. I want this dude to be consistent. It's been frustrating for him. It's been frustrating for him, and it's been frustrating for me. 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in 35 games. I would have expected him to be a little bit more of an offensive defenseman. Not really like a Cale Makar type, but more so someone who I can expect to be decent in transition. He's not really great in transition. 17, just under 18 minutes a night is not really that great if your aspirations are second pair and higher. If you want to be in the top 4, great. If you want to be in the top 4, great. But you're not getting the minutes of someone who's playing in top 4 minutes. And that is kind of indicative of how well he's been playing, which has been not amazing. Lindy. I don't want to put him in S tier. I'm putting him in A tier. Hampus Lindholm. 1 goal, 18 assists, 19 points in 49 games. There are a lot of people who are really unhappy about that. And yes, yes, he had an insane 2022-2023. But I didn't entirely know it was a fluke. But looking at his career stats, let's look at his career stats. He's never really been a massive points guy. Last year was the only time he had ever scored more than 35 points in a season, and he's always been more of a defensive player, and he's been that. There will always be that McTavish goal that he allowed against Anaheim that for some reason I will not let him live down. I still just think that that is. I feel like that's sort of just a sort of just an indicator that everybody's mortal. Everybody's mortal. Well, nobody's infallible. Well, but yeah, for what it's worth, Lindholm's been having a great season. Lindholm's been having a really damn good season. Next up, Louisiana Fast, Mason Lohrei, B tier. Lohrei this season has been pretty damn good, and I would say, three goals, 3 assists, 6 points in 27 games in just under in an average of about 16:30 a night. I know he hasn't really been playing much, and he hasn't really, but I still think that he, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna drop him down to C tier, because the more that I think about it now, the more that I'm starting to realize that this is exactly like I said with Poitras, this is sort of exactly what I'd expect from him. I'm not entirely surprised that he got dropped down to Providence, but that's also because we just have a glut of talent on our defensive core. And I think that it's not really the worst for him to go back down. I think honestly we're going whether it's Beecher, Poitras, whether the next guy coming up is Beecher, Poitras, Merkelov, of Lohrei, Lysell, well, hell, even freaking Jackson Edward, for all I care. He's not coming up. Jackson Edwards is not coming up. I love him. He's not coming up. But no matter who's coming up, we know that they're still a little bit under seasoned, and this new generation of Boston Bruins is not going to be fully realized for another year or two. Oh. Lysell might not even crack the roster until 2025, until 2024, 2025, which I'd be a little bit unhappy with that, but I'm not. But if it means that we're getting a better Fabian Lysell, I'm happy with that. Just like with Mason Lohrei, I was pleasantly surprised with him. But if he's going back down, and that means that eventually in the future we're going to get a better Mason Lohrei, I am perfectly happy with that. All right, the bona fide stallion, Charlie McAvoy, 7 goals, 26 assists for 33 points in 41 games. He's going in B tier. I think he's been pretty decent. Actually, you know what? No. I'm sorry, Chucky. I'm sorry for even insisting you were B tier. Yeah. He's been Charlie McAvoy. Most nights is the nucleus of our entire defense. This entire defense has been built around Charlie McAvoy. You don't give a guy $9.5 million a year for 8 years to not try and build the team around him. I remember when he got inked to that contract, I called my sister, who was in California at the time, which means I accidentally woke her up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to tell her that. But man, that was he has been fantastic. 24 and a half minutes a night. I don't entirely know who leads the entire league in time on ice a game. After looking it up, the answer is Drew Doughty with 26 minutes a night. Holy crap! But still 24 and a half minutes a night. Incredible. Well, leading the entire team in penalty minutes. That's my boy. Next up, we have Sid LaSloth. Ian Mitchell, F tier. F tier. Here. There's a reason he's only played 13 games with this team. He's not been great. He's not been good. He's not been good. And every single time that Ian Mitchell is on the ice, I have been like, oh my God, why is he here? Who invited this guy? Yeah. I really thought that that his previous work with Monty at Denver, I thought that was going to translate into him being a decent bottom four guy, although primarily bottom pair. But no, he is like, I would almost at this point rather us call up Riley Walsh, the other piece that we got from that Hall trade, which I know it was cap dump, but still. Next up, Kevin Shattenkirk. You are in C tier. Kevin Shattenkirk, 5 goals, 8 assists, and is for 41 points, and is averaging 15.52 a night. I am still surprised that this man went on a little bit of a scoring tear. It was hilarious. It was amazing watching him score like that. But like, we also all knew that it wasn't gonna be sustainable. Well, and for what it's worth, this is sort of what I'd expect from Shattenkirk. Because, like, how old is he? 35. He's 35 years old. Yeah, as a 35-year-old defenseman, this is about what I'd expect from him. And I want to. And yeah, there are times. Again, there are times when I'm happy that he's on the ice. There are times when I'm not happy he's on the ice. But someone who I didn't expect to be as happy on the ice as I have been, Parker Wotherspoon. Mr. Wotherspoon, you spent like the past 4 or 5 years developing in the Islanders system, and it has resulted in you being one of the weirdest success stories for the Bruins this season. And hasn't really been effective offensively. No goals, 3 assists in 20 games, but averaging about 17.5 minutes a night. And I've been happy with him. I've been pretty happy with him. He has been able to cycle the puck a little bit better than other players, and I want him to. I've been happy with his success, and I'm excited for what he brings. Now, do I think he's going to bring a lot? No. I don't think that Parker Wotherspoon's ceiling is that high. But if what we've been seeing is his floor, it's a pretty high floor. And I'm happy about that. So that is going to wrap it up. I'm just going to reassemble everything real quick, and that is the tier list. If I, again, it's like 3. It's like 3:15 in the morning. I don't know why the hell I'm still awake, but if I got this all correct from memory, which I sincerely doubt that I did, up top we have in S tier we have Jeremy Swayman, Trent Frederic, Danton Heinen, Charlie Coyle, and Charlie McAvoy. Get out your Charlie cards for these two. A tier we have Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak, Brendan Carlo, and Hampus Lindholm. B tier we have Linus Ullmark, Jesper Boqvist, Jake DeBrusk, and Parker Wotherspoon. C tier we have Johnny Beecher, Morgan Geekie, James Van Riemsdyk, Matt Poitras, Pavel Zacha, Mason Lohrei, and Kevin Shattenkirk. D tier we have Jakub Lauko and Matt Grzelcyk. F tier we have we have Patrick Brown, Oskar Steen, and Derek Forbort and Ian Mitchell, and for non-applicable, we have Georgi Merkulov. And that's gonna be it for me tonight. I'm going to hopefully get some sleep. I sincerely doubt it, but thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. I think is our next game. Give me one sec. Let's schedule. Yeah, Tuesday, February 6th against Calgary. I will be, and Thursday, February 8th, gonna be another live one. And specifically in that I will be attending that one. So you will also see, and it's gonna be, I think, with my sister and my father. So we might see this be, so you might get to hear their inputs on the game during Into the Den. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for supporting my content, and I will pass out.